Imagine, for a moment, that everything you believe to be safe and secure in your daily life may have been manipulated decades ago by invisible forces, in places where few dared to enter. During the Cold War, powerful governments around the world were not only competing in technology and politics, but also in mind control, human behavior, and absolute psychological power. Secret experiments, which seemed more like scenes from horror films or dystopian novels, were conducted systematically, and many only came to light thanks to declassified documents, whistleblowers, and persistent investigations. What you are about to hear are real facts, documents, and accounts from people who survived experiences that no one should ever face. Brace yourself, because what seems impossible to believe really happened. In the 1950s, the United States initiated MKUltra, a secret project conducted by the CIA aimed at exploring mind control and brainwashing techniques. The goal? To create agents capable of resisting torture, manipulating enemies, and even inducing specific memories or behaviors. For this, researchers spared no methods. Powerful drugs like LSD, hypnosis, extreme sensory deprivation, and even electric shocks were applied to innocent civilians without consent or explanation. Documents reveal that schools, prisons, and hospitals were used as human laboratories. The stories of people who suffered long-lasting side effects are shocking: complete disorientation, memory loss, extreme anxiety, and in some cases, death. Although officially ended in the 1970s, experts believe that fragments of the knowledge gained from MKUltra may have been incorporated into later espionage programs and psychological experiments. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic in the Soviet Union, equally dark projects tested the limits of the human mind and body. Scientists explored sleep deprivation, psychoactive drugs, and conditioning techniques to create mentally conditioned soldiers and agents, capable of enduring torture or performing nearly impossible tasks under extreme stress. Although many records were destroyed or remained secret, accounts from former agents and leaked documents suggest that these experiments were routine in military laboratories, with devastating effects for human subjects who in practice were not true volunteers. In parallel, during the 1940s and 1950s, the Stargate project drew attention for another type of manipulation, attempting to use paranormal abilities for espionage. People were subjected to remote viewing tests, trying to see places or events at a distance without conventional technology. While it may seem like science fiction today, government documentation shows that millions of dollars were invested, and results classified as inconclusive or controversial were systematically recorded. The fact that military agencies paid to study the supernatural only reinforces the atmosphere of mystery and control that permeated the era. But secret experiments were not limited to war and espionage. One of the darkest cases in medical history occurred in the Tuskegee experiment in the United States, where hundreds of African American men were deliberately infected with syphilis, without treatment, to study the natural progression of the disease. The victims, mostly poor and illiterate, believed they were receiving medical care, while in reality they were being cruelly monitored without consent or ethics. The outcome was devastating: premature deaths, broken families, and a social wound that only began to be addressed decades later. This episode is a grim reminder of how science can be manipulated when power and prejudice combine. Another terrifying example occurred in post-World War II Germany, where Project Paperclip brought Nazi scientists to the United States, supposedly to collaborate on aerospace and military technology. Many of these scientists had a history of cruel human experimentation in concentration camps. Documents reveal that some continued to conduct secret experiments on American soil involving radiation, dangerous chemicals, and extreme psychological techniques, often on vulnerable populations, without any ethical oversight. This transfer of highly dangerous knowledge, under the guise of national security, left a disturbing legacy of secrets that may never fully come to light. Even in civilian areas, cases of secret experimentation were not rare. Hospitals and mental health institutions in the 1950s and 1960s experimented with lobotomy, electroshock, and extreme sensory deprivation on patients, often without permission. Some accounts describe people spending months in isolation, subjected to repetitive stimuli, with irreversible effects on personality and memory. These practices, although documented, were often justified as medical advances or methods of social control, but today reveal a dark side of scientific history. The most disturbing aspect of these experiments is that, despite investigations, many details remain hidden or were deliberately destroyed. Official files suggest there is information that has not yet been released to the public because it could compromise national security. This leads to a chilling conclusion: the history we know may only be the surface of a series of secret projects, in which ordinary people were manipulated as mere objects of study, without their knowledge or consent. The magnitude of these experiments and the way they intersected governments, scientists, hospitals, and militaries reveal something few dare to admit: human power, when combined with secrets, compromised ethics, and technology, can be terrifying. Imagine knowing that methods of mind control, radiation, drugs, and psychological manipulation were applied to ordinary citizens, while the outside world remained completely unaware. Every declassified document, every surviving testimony, is a reminder that these experiments are not fiction, and that the history of science also has chapters that no one wants to remember. And as we explore these secrets, we must ask ourselves, how many of these insights are still active, evolved, or disguised in contemporary programs? How many of these experiments created techniques that today influence behavior, propaganda, advertising, or even social control systems? The answer is largely unknown. But what we do know for certain is that what has come to light is disturbing enough to make us question what is truly safe, ethical, or moral in the world we live in. Now, think about this while you watch this video. There are still secret files that have not been released, experiments that have yet to be revealed, and people who suffered unjustly, whose stories never reached the public. This is the dark reality behind projects like MKUltra, the Stargate Project, Tuskegee, and Paperclip. Mysteries hidden in the shadows of history, conducted by those who had power but no scruples. The most frightening part is that, even decades later, these accounts continue to challenge us. How much of what we consider science or progress is truly ethical? And how many secrets remain guarded, waiting to be discovered? If you were impressed by these stories, felt that chill of discovering secrets that few know, don't stop here. On Doctor Knows Everything, we dive deep into every mystery, reveal facts that were hidden, and uncover the darkest secrets of human history. So, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a dark discovery that could change the way you see the world. Because, as you've just seen, the truth is often more disturbing than any fiction.